Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more Saat Ki Baat Lajja ke Saath. Lajja, as you know, is a forum which gives women a non-judgmental space to be themselves, a space where they can explore, a space where they can learn from the other women, a space where they can teach other women, be inspired and inspire them going forth. As always, like I told you, the month of September, we are focusing on emotional intelligence and emotional strength in children. And we're talking about this because we are in a world where you have to be able to face your fears. You have to be able to face all the challenges thrown at you to really come through and survive and be a leader in your own right. So I have already spoken to Riddhi about strength, and she shared some wonderful tips with us. Then on our special bath, I had two wonderful teens talking about what they expected their parents to give them, the kind of support they expected from their parents. And today, I have another very inspiring lady who's joining us and sharing her thoughts on the need for emotional strength in our children. So let me bring her on screen and then I'll go on to introduce her. Welcome, Anupama.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Vandana.
Pleasure's all ours. So let me introduce you to the audience who are watching us. So Anupama Dalmia is a 20-time award-winning blogger. Now I struggled at the 20 time because two times is also a big time, and she's talking about 20 times. So she's a 20-time award-winning blogger, author, serial entrepreneur with three ventures. She's a social influencer, creative writing mentor. She's also a choreographer and mother to a 5-year-old. She's a Karamveer Chakra Silver Awardee, which is a global civilian honor presented by International Confederation of NGOs in association with the United Nations. She's an Amazon approved influencer. She's been featured among the top bloggers and influencers of India on multiple platforms, and her entrepreneurial journey has been covered by coveted media like the New Indian Express, Better India, and Your Story. She is the only Indian who has been nominated in the category of digital transformation by Global Digital Women, which is a Berlin based international network of female digital pioneers at the Digital Women Leaders Award 2020. She is the founder and chief mentor at Beyond the Box, which is a venture dedicated to nurturing young minds via the medium of creative writing and critical thinking with a holistic approach and unconventional methodologies. She is the founder and choreographer at Rhythms and Beats, which is a dance enterprise that is into dance workshops and public events. She is the co-founder of Tingle Your Taste Buds, which is a cookery venture that she runs along with her mother. So here you have somebody who is like, she's not jack of all trades, she's like the master of all trades
Oh
because
my
she's done
God.
exceptionally well whichever venture she has taken up. So welcome, Alpama. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for the lovely introduction. And I'm really glad to be here because I'm somebody who has been following the work of Lajja for a long time, and you all are doing amazing work. So for me,
Thank
it's like, really pleasure to be here with women who inspire me every day.
Oh, thank you so much. So, yes, let's get into the subject at hand. And
Yes.
uh, what do you understand, or how would you define emotional strength in a child?
Right. So, like before I start and share my views, I just want to say that, see, I am not a professional psychologist. So, whatever I say today comes from my experience as a mother and also as a creative writing mentor because I do work closely with children. So, so whatever it is very experiential, what I'm sharing. For me, I think a lot of times what I've come across is that there are many people who they confuse between emotional strength and mental, health and or mental strength. Though of course they are interlinked because definitely, I mean, the way you handle your emotions or your emotional strength definitely does play a role in the, your overall mental well-being. But they are not exactly the same. My understanding is that emotional strength is a part of your overall mental well-being, so mental strength goes beyond that. And for me personally, emotional quotient or emotional strength is about uh, Four things primarily. What I think is, one is, of course, it is about, how you actually cope with the adversities in life, or, something goes wrong and the response to it. Of course, that stems from your emotional strength. But it is not just that. Normally we tend to feel that, okay, emotionally strong, matlab they'll always be very happy. They'll always be very, haan, sab sahi hai, I'll take on the world. It is not necessarily that. Emotional strength doesn't mean you will not cry or you will not feel bogged down. It is the response, after you experience something, then how you kind of, overcome that or respond to it. That is your emotional strength. It is also about how you respond to the people around you. So it's not just internal, it is not just about your own response to the things that are happening to you, but it is also about your empathy. According to me, I think that also contributes, to your emotional
Absolutely.
strength, with the way you perceive, the world around you, the way you feel for other people. I think that again plays a very important role. It is also about your decision making, because I feel that ultimately life is all about making choices, at different stages. And of course, all of us make wrong choices as well. In retrospect, many a times we may feel that way. But again, I think your emotional vulnerability, strength, or the way basically your emotional intelligence, I think it helps you to make choices in life. So yes, even that is your emotional intelligence. And I think it is also I feel that it is also about your expression. A lot of times again we feel that if we are not expressing, like say, wo to dikhati nahi hai, jab bhi sad ho to, that is your strength. No, I think it is not necessary. It is about, you have to express. Just because somebody has come out and expressed that maybe, they are feeling very, very sad about something, that doesn't mean they are not emotionally strong. So I feel that, this expression part of it is also very important aspect of your emotional strength, whether you feel confident enough to accept with yourself as well, and and then of course express it to somebody else, maybe, that yes, this is what exactly I'm going through. So for me, basically, I think all of this encompasses, together. I think they make for a person's emotional intelligence, you can say, probably, or you can talk about, the strength. I think they are all ultimately, it is about your resilience from within. That's how, all this contributes to it. That's what I feel.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is so interesting that you spoke about how if there's a person who doesn't really cry or break down in a situation, people generally tend to say, "Arey, she's like emotionally very strong." And I can talk of this from experience, because I have always been somebody who's held on to whatever I've been feeling. At that situation,
Right.
I'm burst out. But of course,
Yes.
now with age, I think I'm losing it, or maybe I'm not strong enough anymore. Because off late, I
No, no,
realized,
no.
I blow up at the minuscule events or situations. And sometimes the reason, when I started off this topic, and when we started doing these live
Right.
sessions with people, I realized that there is a time when I should have spoken up, I didn't. And now that kind of bottled up energy is like
Yes.
coming out like a
Yes,
fawara or
which is
something.
true. It happens. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Things get bottled up, and I think you just get that vent one fine day. And I think
One,
all of us will relate to it, actually, Vandan. I think most of us, like, especially women, I feel, there's always this tendency ki a strong Indian woman takes everything what is, thrown at her. So I think that also, that societal, kind of expectation also results in, us becoming like that. So I think what you're sharing, I'm sure a lot of people relate to it. And I think, yes, we should allow people to express anger, or, the sadness or whatever it is, because I think that channeling of emotions we don't focus on enough. We mostly talk about कि अच्छा वो गुस्सा नहीं होती और sad नहीं होती तो मतलब हाँ strong है. So it is about how you channel these emotions, actually.
yeah. So when the actual system, if I would say that the actual system is flawed, when we adults ourselves don't know how to use our
Right.
emotions to our benefit, or to enhance our lives, how do we
Right.
expect our children to deal with that? How do you
Exactly.
expect a child to be emotionally strong?
Exactly.
Now
Exactly.
we have, like yesterday I went to the market and I heard this lady shouting at her child, really small baby, about 2.5, 3, I think.
Mhm.
And she hit the child. Child started crying, and then she said, "Ladke thodi na rote hain." So
Oh my
that
God.
we start off from there, we
Yes,
start off from
yes.
there, where you tell a boy, of course, now you're even telling girls that children should not cry. But
Hmm.
if you don't cry, how do you vent?
Yes, 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 that's very true. And in fact, I hear this a lot, which is why when you said that, I was like, oh God, I so know this because I have heard so many people. We think that things are changing, but if you see around, you see people saying these things even now. I remember once one of my students, a boy student, he lost a match. So he was crying, and it is normal, yeah. It's okay. He was feeling sad about losing. He was crying, and everybody who came to console him, they were saying that, Arey, you're a boy, how can you cry? And I got really, I ticked me off because he's also my student and, somebody I'm attached to. And I just went and told everybody off that, Arey, tum usko manane ja rahe ho. And then you're saying, ladke, maine kaha, why can't, he cry? And I said, you cry, you take out whatever andar jo bhi lag raha hai, then we'll talk. So I think what you're saying, it happens so much even today.
So how is it that we build up this emotional strength in our children? What can
Yes.
we, as parents, as adults in a child's life, what can we do to build them up?
Yes. I think the first thing we need to do is acknowledge the importance. I think, what happens, of course, today we are talking about mental health, emotional resilience, strength, everything. But even then, I see there are a lot of people who make statements like, हमारे तो parents ने कभी इन सब चीजों की बातें नहीं की, like in the sense that generation never spoke about these things and we are all fine. So, I think why are we, talking so much about this? I think that is a very flawed thought because times have changed. You cannot stick to one style of parenting over the years. Of course, today is a different world. And you also learn, right, from mistakes. Maybe they made some mistakes, which is okay. Even we will probably make mistakes as parents, which maybe our, kids may correct during their times. So I think the first step is to, first of all, acknowledge that importance. I don't think all of us, and I'm talking about all parents, I don't think we acknowledge the importance of emotional quotient enough. Even today, आप मुझे बताओ कहाँ time है? Like, I see my, especially my daughter, so she's just 5.5. But if I talk about my students, their day goes just like this. They've gone to school, come back, homework, class, thak gaye, ab khana khao, so jao. Where is any conversation about, emotions or, empathy or what is it about living in this world? So I think first, like I said, it is the acceptance that there is a real need, and to realize that, this will not happen automatically. Conscious steps have to be taken towards it, because especially because it's so hectic for everybody today, sab apne kaam mein itne busy hai. So I think you have to realize that yes, some conscious steps need to be taken towards building that emotional quotient in the children. Now what we can do, I think there are loads of things we can do. I think the first thing I would say is, we need to become the right role models for them, because see, ultimately kids, especially the younger ones, they emulate, they learn. I mean, you may tell them hundreds of things, but at the end of it, if you are not showcasing the same behavior or the same things that you're teaching them, they are not going to take it. So I think the first thing is, we ourselves need to understand, how we need to handle our own emotions, how we need to, express them, how emotionally we think about the world around us, how empathetic we are. So I think that is the first thing that we can do, is that model that kind of behavior, what we are trying to teach them, once we have, of course, accepted that, yes, we need to do it. I'll just give an example. Like, a lot of times I see that parents tell their kids, that, okay, yes, you need to maybe, do something for the society, kuch karo, contribute karo. But, sometimes I think the things we say is a bit problematic. For example, we say, I personally don't believe in the quote that do good and it will come back to you. I always feel that, do good because it is good to do good. Yeah, it may or may not come back to you, and that should not be any criteria. So I
Yes.
think the way we talk about these things with children has to change. So we don't have to tell them that the reason we have to be empathetic or probably help others is because you're being very great by doing so. No, you're not being great by doing so. That is a basic human quality I think all of us need to have, and that is how the children need to take it. So with my daughter also, I try to do that. Like, I try to tell her that, see, if you're perceptive, if you feel bad for somebody, if you're helping, you're not doing anyone a favor. This society is ours. We are a part of the society. Aisa nahi hai ki you're doing somebody else a favor. Any improvement in the society is an improvement in our own space. So it is ours. So I think this is one thing that we need to talk to them about. We need to talk to them about gratitude. I don't know how much we really talk to them about gratitude, but I think I try again, to do that. And, I think again, we need to make conscious attempts to do it. That, gratitude with respect to what you have, of course, and also if there are good people in your life, learn to value them. So I think these things should be a part of our conversations. Sometimes parents, especially, as a mentor, when parents ask me that, how do we really bring up these topics? The child is not really interested to sit and listen to Gyan. So I tell them that, you don't always have to sit and tell them, okay, come, aaj hum iske bare mein baat karenge. It should be a regular, kind of an ongoing thing, kabhi kuch hua, you saw something happening, talk to them about it. I want to just maybe take this opportunity also to tell that, for example, my daughter is 5.5. She has some idea about LGBTQ, and I know many may not agree. They may feel, "Arey, itni choti hai, usko ye sab batana hai." She, of course, doesn't know in depth, but she has some sense of, yes, same-sex couples are possible. So, you have to, how did that come about? There was something I think we were talking about, or there was something we read. So that's when, don't avoid questions of children, basically, in an age-appropriate way. Talk to them about the world around, kya ho raha hai, how we can, make things better. And books, again, I feel I cannot stress enough on the importance of books. I think the best way to do it with kids is, read stories with them. There will definitely be a lot of things coming up about, emotions, about, how somebody felt, how they reacted to it, how they helped somebody, how they reacted maybe, when things were not going fine. So how did somebody handle that? Of course, stories are about all this, right? So I think books is a great way to do that with the children. So yeah, you don't have to like sit and talk, but you can do these things, read books with them, inculcate creative, I think, creativity is, again, I feel, a very powerful tool for strong emotional intelligence. So whatever creative activity maybe that your child may be interested in or good at, please encourage them to follow it through. It could be drawing, painting, writing, whatever, anything creative. It does associate with the emotional, growth of the child. So yes, I think that is another thing that we need to really focus on is, yes, some creative activity. Other than that, I feel that we have to allow kids to express even negative emotions and not shame them for it. I feel this is one thing where a lot of us, I think as parents, we tend to, and I am also talking about myself, mere se bhi hota hai, that sometimes, we'll end up saying that, कैसे ऐसे गुस्सा कर रहे हो, how can you be just feel angry for such a small thing? Or maybe if a child is feeling a little jealous, say, कि maybe किसी और को कुछ मिला उसको नहीं, how can you feel jealous? That's so horrible. No, so I think the way we talk to them about these so-called like the negative emotions, I think that makes a huge difference in their emotional, quotient. The child should be aware, if we are trying to tell them that, okay, always be, happy, always be positive, they are not emotionally aware then, right? Because then we are taking them away from what they're actually feeling. So I think the way we talk to them about these things, I feel, yes, that plays a huge role. So don't tell them that don't be angry. Tell them that, okay, if you're angry, I understand. Yes, probably this has happened, but maybe breaking things probably may not, be a right way to express it. So probably you can try something like this, So that is how, so don't shame them, I feel, for any kind of emotions that they are feeling. Even with, my students, it happens sometimes, that they come and share with me because they feel that sharing with somebody else, they will be, judged for the way they are feeling, or somebody may not understand. So I think why I think this shouldn't be happening, and not just parents. I think it is the responsibility of every adult who in some ways associated with the child, so it doesn't just end with parents, I think. Yeah,
no, this is so important because I again go back to my past, and I remember that as a school going child, where my friends were very close to my mother, and invariably my mother would know all their stories and I would not, because they were comfortable sharing it with her. So they would come home during recess, and from everything from petty fights to love affairs, my mother was like in sync with everything that my friends were doing, and I would be the last to hear. And I remember I used to get very angry with her, and I used to say, why don't they talk to their mothers? Why are they talking to you? And she used to tell me, what, you are lucky that you got a mother who understands what you're saying, and I
Yes.
give my time to you and I listen to you. I tell you what I can. They, unfortunately, maybe their mothers are busy, or maybe their mothers don't understand the language that these children are talking, so they
Right.
come to me, and I think there is no harm in them sharing things with me. Now that I have my own two daughters, I understand how important that role that she played as a listener, as somebody who let my friends vent it out. She was there for them, and I think that is what I try to emulate for my children. I try to be that listening. My mother used to say, be like a
Yes.
sponge. Listen to it, soak it in, soak it in. You don't
Yes. Yes.
necessarily need to give them advice. For all you know, they're just venting it out and telling you. Ek baar bol diya, ho gaya. It's clear with that. So
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
that is
Yes. True.
so important. We have a couple of people who have joined us. Sony says very nice. Meenal says my kid doesn't like to read books. However, he enjoys when I read it out to him. I think that's great. Just keep reading that. She's asking how to inculcate the reading habit. We will get to reading also.
Yes.
Another thing that you said is very important about children being aware. When reading helps them open up their mind.
Yes.
I remember 2 days back I saw a post on Facebook where a child has a 13-year-old girl has donated her hair to a
Wow.
cancer unit, to make wigs for cancer patients. And as I was combing out my hair, I was telling my daughters, I think Mama is going to do that. Mama is going to donate her hair. And
Mm.
my older one, who's 9 years old, says, Amma, I don't think you need to do that, because once your cancer treatment is over, I mean, once the cancer patient's treatment is over, the hair grows back. And I'm like, who told you that? So she said,
Mm.
don't you remember? There's a book by Neelam Kumar, and
Mm.
it's a
I'm
comic,
aware of that book.
yeah,
Yes.
To Cancer with Love.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so my daughter has read that book. I've given her that book. She's read it, so she knows. So she's like, so what really got me is that awareness for a 9-year-old
Yes.
child, that
Right.
yes,
Right.
you will lose hair, yes, you will be bald, but once your treatment is over and once your immune system comes back up, your hair is going to grow out again. And I
Yes.
think that was so important, that for that child to understand empathy, for that child
Yes.
to understand, to be self-aware, which is
Right.
where I think, in this discussion, self-awareness is so important in emotional strength.
Very important, very important. And yeah, I think self-awareness also helps us to take things like rejection, which causes a lot of stress in life later, right? I mean, somebody has rejected you for something, could be job, relationship, or whatever, or takes, or you, it helps us to take no, because I think when you're self-aware, okay, this is what I am, and somebody else rejecting me, saying no, it's okay, so I think it helps even in that sense also, of course, apart from what we talked about, I think self-awareness, that's why it becomes really important, for your emotional strength later in life, so these things kids may not realize now, like you were saying, sometimes, these things show up later in some ways, that okay, yes, this helped. So yeah, I think, yeah, that's definitely very important in children.
Okay, so now let's come to these workshops that you do. You have, children coming in. How does writing? I mean, of course, I'm a big advocate for writing, and I think
Yeah.
everybody should someday, even if it's like just random journaling, it is very important to express yourself. But when children come to you, what is it that draws them to those workshops that you have?
Right. Yes. So, I'll actually, okay, so let me go back a little, because I also kind of got, I mean, how I got into it. So, I was a writer, like, of course, I've been writing, and there were a lot of people in my community who kept telling me that, we have classes for almost everything, but nothing for writing, or, the creative writing thing. And so they were like, you have a good rapport with kids, so why don't you try and, take some classes maybe, or workshop. And I was thinking whether, I don't know, because at that time I thought that writing ke liye bacche class kyun aayenge, school mein already they do a lot of writing. But then I thought,
Yeah.
okay, let me just give it a try. And it was more than 3 years back, of course, now. So then it was summer vacation time, and I remember that what I did is I thought, okay, let me do a workshop, and then I'll see if it works. Then probably I'll do something more regular. It was a 3-day workshop, and I mean, that 3-day workshop, I think, changed my life completely in the way you realize a lot of things. So that is when I realized that, yeah, kids are not getting a free environment to really express, when they write also, they look at it as a very academic thing. they don't really realize what are the joys of writing and really owning your expression. I think for me at Beyond the Box, I always say it is about owning the expression. Yes, this is what I think, this is my, a lot of times they would be like, teacher ne ye likhne bola hai, mama ne ye I mean, so I don't blame the schools. They have, of course, their own curriculum and everything. So of course they have to follow a certain approach. And that is when I realized that, okay, if they cannot get that in school, why then I think I need to provide. And then that's how I became very passionate about that cause. And, I started working with children, and then one thing led to the next. And of course, today Beyond the Box is doing pretty well, thankfully. So what happens, parents come to me for different reasons. Some would simply come because they feel that the child is not expressing enough. Some would come that, okay, the child expresses, but not very openly. Like, I mean, some level of thing will be there. Some feel that, the child is not really interested in writing and school mein likhna padta hai. Even aise bhi reasons hote hain that, of course, and which is fine, so they come for different reasons. What I always tell all the parents is, whatever your reason is, you have to realize one thing, that the more pressure you put on the child that you have to write 100 words today, you have to write 200 words today, it is not going to work. And that is definitely not my approach in my classes. So my aim generally, so I always say that, it is not just about their writing skills, but it is also about the way they think, the critical thinking, the creative, see, kids are already very imaginative. I mean, I always say that,
Yes.
they already are imaginative. All you need to do is give them some fuel, Now, there have been many children who have been coming to my class who are very reserved outside, like normally parents would tell me, yaar, ye bahut reserved hai. So I'm just letting you know, so that, like, yeah, that, okay, they are reserved and you may have to put in extra effort to, get something out of them. And I mean, today I can say this, that 100% every child, within a matter of few weeks, they open up, I mean, I sometimes feel I should send the video to the parent that ye aapka reserve bacha hai, So what makes them open up is the fact that they get a free environment, a non-judgmental space, to just express, and they know that here we'll be heard, we will be understood, we will not have to follow rules just for the sake of it. And like, we know that this is our comfortable space. I think kids bloom when they are given that kind of space. So that is why I link my workshops to the, again, emotional awareness, the the expression of the children, because like I said, it's not about how they write the English. I mean, of course, the language, grammar, everything they will learn, but to let those thoughts flow. Like, I'll give you an example. So we did one letter writing class once, and of course I've also done a workshop on that. So I have so what I do in that, I'll just just to give a specific example, sometimes so I said that, okay, don't write a letter to any person. Sometimes write a letter to yourself. Like, I mean, I said that, okay, you write a letter to yourself and maybe tell yourself something which you feel you need to tell yourself, but you don't think about it often, because kids don't get the time, to really do that kind of self-reflection. So, do that. Then we did a contest at Beyond the Box, which was the artist within me, where again, they had to write about the artist within them, which probably gets lost, sometimes, I mean, in all that we have to do. So writing can help so much to self-reflect, to understand yourself better. And then, what happens is, like, मैं भी बोलती हूँ कि why somebody when asks me why you became a writer, I say that because there's nobody to listen, so I thought I might as well write. So, like, if you feel there's nobody to listen, they know that, okay, लिख के at least, they're taking it out, whatever. And to talk of little more, even, like, I have worked with a child who lost her father, unfortunately, at a very young age. Writing helped even her, so she came to me for a few weeks, and I said, jo bhi tumhare man mein hai, take it out. So she was escaping her, emotions. She didn't want to face it. By the way of writing, she was able to face and overcome to some extent. And, see, it's not like writing is a complete 100% solution. I feel it is more of an ongoing kind of a thing that, you need to keep doing it. It is something which makes you connected to yourself. And I think that is such an important aspect of, human emotions, staying connected to our own selves, So I think, that's my focus in these classes and workshops.
Wow, that's so amazing. And it is important for, I remember somebody had once during a panel discussion, somebody has spoken about the language of emotions. We don't
Yes,
teach our children the language of
yes,
emotions.
yes,
And we can't, and we are not teaching them that because we as adults ourselves are not aware of that language. And
exactly.
yeah, so maybe writing, just pouring your heart out is a good enough way of expressing yourself. That is so amazing. Now, you are somebody who talks about writing. I'm somebody who talks about reading. So, like
Yes,
Meenal just asked, how do you inculcate the habit of
yes.
reading? Because I think reading also takes you into that world where you are the
Of
hero
course,
and
of course.
you can
Yes, yes,
express yourself.
yes. Reading and writing, I feel, go hand in hand. And even in my own classes, there is a lot of focus on books and reading, So it's not that kids only write. We do a lot of, activities. There's so much of conversation about books because, stories, ultimately, it is like, what you write comes a lot from what you read and, what you understand. So, for me, what I say, like, books are to our mind and soul what food is to our body. That's what I feel. And just after having one meal, we don't suddenly become healthy, right? So similarly, you have to make reading a daily habit, which is a pleasurable activity. Now I know that this is a very common question that I get from, I mean, I think every two other day I get this question from someone or the other, like a parent maybe, or anybody who is probably working with a child, that how do we really inculcate reading habit? My child is not really interested in books. So I think, see, first thing we need to realize is that these things, the earlier you start, the better.
Yes.
Fact hai, the ones the kids grow, they pakad mein nahi aate, I mean, like it's a fact. I'm sure all parents know that. So the earlier you start, the better. That is one thing. Secondly, like I even seen Meenal's question that the child enjoys when she reads out,
Yes.
but doesn't. I feel that's absolutely okay. मैं parents को यही बोलती हूँ that up to the age of 7 or even 8, it's okay. Like read aloud to your child, doesn't matter. See, it is all about how they take interest in the stories. Reading by themselves, each child is ready at a different age. You can't say that okay, now you're 6, to ab khud padho, or no. There is, I mean, I always say that the parents have to be involved equally if they want to inculcate the reading habit in children. It is not going to happen by giving them a book one day and saying that chalo, now you
Right.
start reading. So whether you like it or not, I mean, you have to sit with them, you have to read out to them, have patience, and make it fun for them. Another thing I've noticed is that why kids probably don't take that much of an interest is because they are not exposed to the right kind of literature. And when I say right kind, I mean what is right for them, as per
Them.
their interests. Every child will not like everything. Just because one is liking Peppa Pig, the other may not. And talking about older kids, just because somebody likes Harry Potter, or maybe so many like Harry Potter, a child may not, don't keep pushing them to read that ye padhna chahiye, wo padhna chahiye. I read Tinkle even today. I read comics
Me
of kids
too.
even today.
Yeah.
Chalo, glad to know that. So so I feel that you have to empower them basically, that okay, this is your pleasurable activity, so you decide what you want to read. I'll give you an example. So, like with some of my kids, like what happened is, yeah, of course, they used to never read. And then I spoke to them. I said, ki, chalo, I'll recommend some books to you. If you want, you read them. Agar pasand aaya, then that's fine, else we'll see. The kids, they loved that book and suddenly they started reading. What was the difference? That earlier the kid was being given the classics, which have been written by, of course, the foreign authors who are really popular, whom we all love. But not every child may relate to those kind of stories. So I
Yes.
gave them books from Indian authors, Indian setup, something which
Hmm.
they related to, and suddenly they really got engrossed. So you have to understand that what the child relates to. If probably a child is maybe not relating to a book of Roald Dahl, it's okay. There are so many Indian authors who are like they've come up with amazing inclusive literature, which talks about so many I mean, they talk about empathy and everything in a very fun way. They are really good books. It's just that they are not hyped enough. So if you actually tap these kind of variety of books, your child for sure will definitely enjoy reading. I think you have to understand what really interests them. Abhi kya hota hai, some kids, probably they are in a phase where they are maybe interested in a lot of action. So maybe they might be reading those books constantly. So don't force them that read everything. वो पता है phase होता है. You have to understand that those are phases, and वो pass हो जाएगा. So that is one. So yes, so the first thing is you get involved yourself. The second thing is, expose them to the right kind of books. Third thing which I would suggest, which has worked for some of the kids in my, who attend my classes, is enrolling, or maybe subscribing for a children's newspaper. So there are some really good children's newspapers in India, and I have seen that, what happens is they somehow enjoy the newspaper more because usme information bhi hota hai and it is a little interactive. So once they get into a certain kind of habit, then they become more open to, try out more stuff to read. So that is another thing that you can try. And of course, to get names and all, you feel free to contact me anytime. I can send you some recommendations. And lastly, make it fun. So what I do sometimes with my daughter is, suppose we have read a story, I sometimes ask her that, okay, do you think that maybe an alternate end could be better? And I do this even during my classes. So kids come up with their own alternate end. So then they enjoy the process. Unko lagta hai, okay, they're doing something fun after reading a certain kind of, story. And there's a good discussion. So, maybe discuss with children what they're reading about, what they take away from it. Would they have liked it any better? Or maybe they would have probably wanted an alternate ending. So make these discussions fun with them about, the books they read. And I think when you do all of this with patience, definitely, I mean, at least I have seen 100% success with the kids I have worked with, that they do show interest in reading at some point.
Wow, those were some amazing takeaways for me also. I've got two daughters. The elder one loves reading, the younger one, not so much. She loves stories, but not reading as such. And, as you were saying, I just realized with the older one, right from a very young age, I used to read out these bedtime stories to her. So from young, she has taken up this book. Whereas for the younger one, I would tell the older one to read to her because I was be busy, whatever.
Of course.
And yes. So now what has happened is that you give the younger one a book, she'll ask the older one to read it out to her. So yes, they love stories, but this is so amazing, to have this discussion and try to think of alternate ways to end the story. Wow, that's amazing. We have a question from Swati who says, ma'am, I want to ask one doubt. Every time it's not possible to provide a comfortable environment to a reserved kid, then how can we encourage that kid at particular competitions? The kids feel uneasy and they take a step back. So how can you help a child who's reserved, who's unsure, or what can you do to help such a child?
Yes, I think that's a very good question. One thing I want to say here before I actually answer this question is, because this point came up, that, sometimes we think of being reserved as a negative quality. I mean, I hear this often that, my child is reserved, I want the child to become outgoing, or the child is introvert, yaar bahut problem hai, I want the child to be more confident. It's not that introvert kids are not confident, they prefer their space. It's just that, and like I always give the example of myself and my husband. Like my husband I'm a complete extrovert and my husband is an introvert. He's doing amazingly well, yaar. I mean, so it doesn't affect anything in their life. Like I'm doing well in my space, he's doing well in his space. So it is just that they prefer a certain, a certain, like they just can't have small talk probably, and they do have their own, like, space where they feel comfortable and otherwise. So that is one thing that I would like to say, that even if your child is an introvert, it is okay. Don't push to change the core nature of the child, because again that plays havoc with their emotions. I mean, you're kind of pushing them to be somebody else, so it's difficult. Now coming to Swati's question, I understand that when children are reserved, of course there might be hesitation with respect to taking part in competitions. I would give a couple of suggestions here. One is that don't push the child. I think it's important to strike a balance between encouraging and pushing. And I mean, maybe the child may do well in a certain kind of competition. Now, suppose the child says, I don't want to go for debate, I'm shy. It's okay. Try to probably find something else, So the child definitely would be good at something. The child would probably be interested at something. So I would suggest that, try to identify what really the child is good at and then accordingly encourage. And it's not necessary that if some other child is probably, taking part in certain kind of competitions, your child also has to. That's really not needed. That is one thing.
Yeah.
And secondly, what you can do, even, I mean, so see, like I talked about my own classes where, some kids, they did, eventually become more confident and they started. So what I suggest is, see that if you can enroll your kids for certain, such classes which they enjoy, because I have seen that when they are a part of a group where, they enjoy, where they like interacting, slowly that confidence does build up, and then eventually, they outside also, then if there's something, they start, performing. And also what you can do is that, assure the child that you probably like that you're not looking for the child to win or something. Now, suppose there is some competition and you want the child to participate. So encourage the child, say that, yes, you just try. And if you don't enjoy the process, then fine, you don't do it again. So try to approach it in a little more friendly way with the child, instead of making it sound like there is this milestone that they have to achieve, So yeah. So the enjoyment is important. See, ultimately the child has to enjoy. And once they enjoy it once, then of course after that it becomes much easier, So it's the first step always which is more difficult. So I would suggest more patience. And like I said, try these different things. Something or the other will definitely work out. And beyond a point, I would definitely say that, don't push the child too much. There will be some space, where the child would want to showcase his or her talent, or, whatever, like, anything that they are interested in. So that's, I think, what I would, because, I can relate to this to some level, because my daughter, actually, sometimes I don't understand whether she's an introvert or not, because sometimes she's like completely like me, and sometimes she goes like, introvert. So, but I also try to do that, I don't push her too much. Like, and I also tell her that, see, it is not like anything that, I mean, if you don't do well, then somebody's going to say something. You do it for your own enjoyment. And if you are not really enjoying the process, then it's fine, then it's fine. We'll probably try out something else. So I think, that kind of conversation may probably help.
Yeah, that was so interesting that you said that is the core personality of that child. If he's reserved, he's reserved. So you don't try to make an apple into an orange or an orange into a pear. An apple will remain an apple. You just need to help that apple shine in its own space or its own aura. Yeah, that was so amazing. Now, for children who have actually done your course and they finished their workshop, how has their experience been? Are they more is there an evolution in the emotional thinking, in the capabilities? What have you seen in those children?
Yes. So there are some kids who have been coming to me for more than 3 years and they still don't want to leave the classes. So I do take some regular classes and they're like, no, we want to continue. So yes. So if I see from then to now, I see a huge difference in the way, firstly, of course, now they express very openly. In fact, now they refute others when they are not doing, like, some of my students, their parents, they joke, that whenever we tell them that probably the story is not ending in the right way, the child will immediately say, there's no right or wrong, okay, this is my thought, and yeah, this is how it is. So I feel amazed, that I'm so glad that they got that confidence of expression now, that it is okay, you may not like it, but you can't tell me that this is not right. This is how I think, maybe this is the way I picturize something. You didn't like, fine, but yes. So, that has happened. And I think that is a huge win for me as a mentor, I feel, because I think that is what ultimately we are all looking for, right? That a child has to be able to confidently share what they feel. Secondly, I have seen, I'll share the example of one child. So her mom had shared this incident with me, that the child was being bullied in the school by some, kids, because the child had cried, so saying ki kya rota hai and all. And the child immediately, said that, so what? It is just an, emotion. And if and the child stood up for himself. For me, again, that was amazing, that a child being able to stand up for himself in front of bullies, by understanding this very fact that, yes, if I cry, it's absolutely okay. So for me, again, so these are the kind of changes that I do see in them. And this is also the feedback I get from parents. So yes, they've become more confident in the expression. They understand emotions. They have stopped making, I think they have become more sensitive towards others also. Because, of course, when you write, when you talk about feelings, emotions, when you read such stories, you kind of understand. I think it does make you more aware. They are so much more aware, I must say, uh, I have every kind of conversation with them. Like, I mean, even so there was like once it so happened that, there was a girl who wrote a story. The premise of it was periods, and she wrote something on that topic. And one of the boy students, when he read it, initially he was like, feeling you and all how boys behave. And then immediately I spoke to him and I said, what? And so that was my opportunity as a mentor. He's a teen. So, and then he understood, so we have all kinds of conversation in these classes. I don't shy away from answering anything. And I think that has helped them to become more sensitive, aware, knowledgeable. Question, I think they have learned to question, which I don't know whether all parents are happy about or not. But
No, but
they,
question is so very important. Yes, yes.
yeah. So they've learned to question, like they will ask questions. They have also, and I think one thing which is very important is, I always tell them that I can also make mistake. It is also possible that I may not know certain things. And I think this helps a lot, because what happens is then children feel that, okay, auntie also makes mistakes. So then it's okay if we make mistake, and, we should learn from it and move on. So that's why I said that, it's not just the responsibility of parents to emulate a certain kind of behavior. It has to come from the entire milieu of the child, right? So yeah, so
Yes,
I
yes.
always tell them that. Suppose, I've said something and that's wrong. And they correct me that, no, auntie, this is actually like this. So then I'm immediately I say, oh yes, I didn't know this. Thank you for correcting, and I'm sorry for that. So so the point is that yes, so these changes have then reflected in them too, because then they also are open about their mistakes. They feel that, okay, yes, I do not want to do something which would maybe hurt someone. They've become and I think they have just they've become more open also, I feel, to learn. Like, I mean, when you get an environment, I think, where you're like, I mean, so freely writing, expressing, discussing, you also become open to learn. You are not rigid then. And I think, again, this is
Absolutely.
a very important quality to have for emotional well-being as well, that you should be able to I mean, even as adults, how many times our ego comes in between, right? So I think wo cheez aana bahut zaruri hai unme, that yes, I should be open to learn. I might be incorrect about certain things, or I may not know of certain things. So even this is one thing which I've noticed in them. So yes, overall I feel the medium of creative writing, stories, books, has truly helped in what I set out to do, I guess, initially. What my vision was for Beyond the Box. I think, yes, definitely I see that happening.
Wow, that's amazing. Almost 45 minutes without even realizing it. So before we wind up, any 5 things that you want to tell my audience, tell my viewers to keep in mind when they're dealing with children, when we are talking about building up an emotionally strong child? What the
Yes.
5 things that they need to keep in mind?
Okay, so of course, I think there would be many things, but probably the key 5 things. The first is definitely role model. You are the role model for them. So, model the behavior that you want them to learn first and foremost. Second, don't shame them for their emotions. Whatever you may feel it's negative, they might have done something which probably you really don't like at all. But if you truly want them to be open to you, if you want to keep that communication channel open, you have to realize that using the right words becomes very important. So avoid things like bad boy, bad girl. I have also made these mistakes. So it's not like I'm like coming from a place of I've done it all right. So even I have learned with time. So yes, so avoid these negative things which can make the child feel that, okay, today if I share something, I'm going to be dissed. So that shouldn't be there. So yes, so the way you approach these conversations with them is important. Third, I would say, please realize the importance of the trust the child has in you, because a lot of times these trust issues lead to emotional issues later. So it may seem like a very small thing, but suppose you have said a child that, tell me the truth, I will not scream at you, and then you end up screaming at the child for
Yeah.
saying the truth. It is not done. So because then, of course, the child is losing that trust. And trust issues, like I said, they are a huge, I think they're one of the most common reasons for issues later in life, where you're not able to handle things in a relationship, or you're not that strong emotionally. So please, whatever you have committed to a child, please stick by it. And that's it. I mean, yeah, so just don't say that, okay, I'll not do this, but end up doing that. Fourth thing I would say is that think of the child as an individual. I think ये हम सबको जरूरत है, because we all always think of our children as our extension, and
Yes.
by default we start imposing and think here. But you have to ultimately realize that the child is an individual with a mind of their own, and give them that. I think make them feel empowered in that sense, that they can let them make mistakes. It's okay, especially with the grown up children. Suppose they've taken an incorrect decision, see, you are there to guide, to facilitate, but to not make them do everything. Then they are not really becoming emotionally strong, then they are becoming very dependent on you. So so I think that striking that balance is important. So yes, think of your children as individuals and not people who are just your extensions.
Mera khoon kind of a thing.
And ये हम सबके साथ problem है, I also do struggle with getting that balance, but yes, I do make a conscious effort कि I think of my child as somebody who may have a thought process of her own, and it's okay, so let them embrace themselves. I think वो बहुत जरूरी है, that हमारा काम है for them to identify what they are, and not make them what we probably want them to be, or what we think. So this is the fourth thing I would say, that definitely. Fifth is I think we don't talk to them enough about, and I think I love this dialogue from the movie Chichore, that we talk so much about, okay, ye hua to we'll party like this, ye hua to we'll celebrate like this. We don't, however, talk about if things don't work out, tab kya hoga. So I think we have to talk to them about failure, about rejections, about being said no, even about losing. I'll just give an example. So one day, there was this child who lost a competition, and the mother was more bitter than the child. अरे मेरे बेटे का कैसे select नहीं हुआ. So see, if you're going to do that, child भी वही सीखेगा, right? So I think you have to be sporting yourself. You have to show that, and have these conversations with the child. So it just makes them more, I think, because see, life में they will go through a lot of things. And मैं हमेशा यही कहती हूँ कि especially if you ask me, recently I was having a conversation with a friend that I think today, the kind of world we are in, I personally feel that पढ़ाई तो वो कर लेगी, लाइफ में कुछ बन भी जाएगी, कुछ ना कुछ तो they will figure out. But for me, I think if I end up making her an emotionally intelligent child, for me, I think that will be a huge parenting win. And both my husband and I do try our best to achieve that for my daughter, and I hope we can. And so that these are, I think, the 5 things that probably I would recommend.
Wow, that was so amazing. And like you said, like I said last week, I had a discussion with 2 teens, and this was the thing that they kept repeating, that even if we fail, I think the parents need to understand we are failing not because we are dunces at that subject. We're failing because maybe we are not doing it right. Maybe we learn from our failures and learn to do right. So don't diss us when we fail. Understand why that happened. So it is so amazing. Thank you so much, Anupama. You have added so much information, so many insights, and this conversation has been so beautiful. And
I enjoyed it too.
I completely enjoyed it. And yes, I think it is very important that we as parents, as adults, do this for our children, give them the emotional strength, and the IQ sab to rahega hi, but that EQ is what will make them resilient, make them strong, make them capable. And since we are talking about so much about mental wellness, I think it is also important to remind everybody again that we are Laja is coming out with Tattva October 4th to October 10th. Please register. This is your opportunity to understand a little bit about mental health, mental wellness, learn what the triggers are, learn what you can do if there is a problem around you. Usually, like I always say, these are things bahar hota hai, to we talk about it. When it's inside the house, we try to hush it. Kisi ko pata nahi chale.
Very true. Very true.
So all of us need to know that. So Anupama, I take this opportunity to invite you. Please do come attend the. It's online, it's virtual.
Yes, I'm totally waiting for it. And as I said, I always follow the work Laja is doing, and I think you all are doing great work, because mental health, we still have a long way to go. Though the whole country today is talking about it, Abhi bahut, there is a long way to go in terms of how we understand it, and how we can truly be a society where there is a good mental health infrastructure, Abhi, so, and I'm glad that you're taking steps to get there. So great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So with that, I end this broadcast and we will see you again with another talk,
Bye.
with another expert. Thank you so much, Anupama. Bye-bye. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.